Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what I need to listen to. Today's request comes out as from Hleb. This one goes out to the state of Florida, the Prodigy, their law. Let's dive into this. I've never really been a big fan of the Prodigy, but admittedly, I've only heard like one or two tracks from them, so it'll be nice to hear something different and maybe have a new appreciation for them since it's been at least a decade, probably more, since I've heard any of their music. Let's dive in and check out what's going on with their law.
Listen, you see this one here? You see shit like this? This shit belongs to the people. Don't let them take this shit away from you. It is the freedom to fucking party all night long. Belongs to you. When you hear this, you know what it stands for.
But within it is a whole lot of respect.
It's your law. It's our law.
That is a massive concert. They do a great job of building up energy right here.
Everybody, Milton Keynes!
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what I expect from Prodigy.
Where the fuck are my warriors here? I want to see you take this shit around.
Interesting mode shift.
Here we go. Fuck 'em all. Have that fucking law. Clap down, sundown. We'll break 'em, take 'em, shake 'em. Clap down, sundown. We'll take 'em, break 'em, break 'em. Clap down, sundown. We'll break those fuckers.
It's the little nuances that really keep it going, because I think we're only on riff number 2. 3.5 minutes into this track now. They put on a good show though. Tons of energy. The back and forth is really nice given that they have two vocalists.
Listen, listen. Everybody jumping. Jump!
I'm curious if you can get all these people to jump at the same time, if there's actually like a movement that happens in the earth. Yeah, I think that's the end of the video. Wrapping this song up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Alright. So it didn't wildly change my perception of Prodigy, but seeing them in a live situation like this, I can certainly see one aspect of their music that people are probably drawn to, which is the raw energy of it. As far as the music goes, what is on, the sheet paper, sheet music, what's actually composed here, it's a lot of repetition. The guitar had a whole 3 riffs that it played on. There were 2 different synth lines that both had some variation to them. On the whole, though, still we're talking about an additional 5, 6 more musical ideas throughout here. And most of it was short 2-bar phrases that would get looped over and over and over and over and over. What keeps most of this interesting isn't the musicality of it, which is rather simple, but it's actually the production, how sounds get tweaked and changed. Even the guitar, I'm sure, was either patched into something that the DJ had access to. I don't know if you would call him the DJ, but he was sitting there, he had the samples and the keyboard and some knobs and dials and stuff. So I'm just going to call him a DJ, seems close enough. Or the guitarist had control of some pedals to modify the way that their guitar sounded. But, I was talking about at the beginning how they do a fantastic job of creating tension and intensity with this rising energy so that they can get to, the big drop and everybody's got, everyone's ready for it. You can feel the tension rising. You want that release. One of the ways they do it, the guitar plays the same thing over and over and over, but they tweak the sound. They make it thinner. They make it more compressed. They drop out the low end on it. They make it, fairly tinny, focusing most on treble. And it's this slight modification of it in so many different factors that we heard on 2 of the different drops, I think. Not just the guitar, but one of the other synth instruments too. Just the modification of it to create tension, not through the repetition of it, not through a rise in volume, but through a modification of sound. It's a really great way to go about crafting tension while also utilizing the other things like layers and even the guitar utilized half-step rises at one point to increase tension. So they know how to really control the listener through the flow of their song, not musically, but through the production. But also, let me backtrack this a little bit through the music though as well. Like I said, the rising half-step ideas also introduces tension. They just have a fantastic craft of controlling listeners and their emotional state and not allowing a song, but controlling a song's ebb and flow. That is what this song at least tells me that they excel at. Um, and that's just the musicality of it. You know, vocally, we also have the back and forth, the call and response going on in a lot of that. And through that, we get the dual timbres, but most of that is at the high point. We don't really build up utilizing them. I think this is the next thing that I want to touch on is the performance of it all. These dudes are performers, straight up. They know how to take the energy of their music and inject it into their show to get the audience hyped. Um, just the way that they present themselves, which I think is kind of something you would have to do with such simple music. Given that the guitar work is simple and repetitive, and that the vocals are, from what I could hear, a lot of repeated lines. There isn't a lot of change going on there. And for many of the DJ things, I noticed that they, push something and walk away and, start dancing and stuff. There isn't a lot of musical performance there. So it really comes down to performing the song and being the energy of the song. The drummer seemed to be the only person who was really stuck with being musical consistently and performing through the musical art more so than the performance art. But I don't think that takes away anything from the show. But it does present to me something that I think hasn't really clicked with me in Prodigy before, is that I've always seen either music videos or heard just song. And I don't think the music is interesting enough for what I typically listen to in music to get caught up in it. But seeing them live, I'd love to be at this show. And it's just like jazz music. I don't mind listening to jazz music, but it's usually not my cup of tea to listen to it on a CD. But I go out to a bar and I'll sit there for hours listening to a jazz performance. Some bands and even some genres are just better suited for live settings, and Prodigy seems to be one of those. There was one more thing I wanted to touch on, and I'm a little upset because I completely blanked out on it. That's upsetting. I'm gonna hit some lyrics. Maybe I'll think about it and get back to that. I remembered the last thing I want to touch on, which is actually this really nice combination between the rave, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, and that the ravier electronic work and the heavier aggressive rock stuff. I think this is actually an ingenious combination that they have here, because it's not so much about merging electronica with rock. I think that sort of just makes sense on the surface, but the difficult part is merging the tones and making sure that the sounds that you're utilizing through your samples or your synth work mesh well with the sounds that your guitarist is playing around with. And I mean, luckily these are two instruments where tone of the instrument, or the timbre of the instrument, is hugely modifiable. And I can't imagine the amount of work that went into finding sounds that worked well together, not just once, but probably several times over, as they continue to explore different types of sounds or different samples, and having to tweak everything in the group, everything in the band, to meld with it to a point where it just makes sense. There's a couple of points throughout this track where honestly I couldn't tell if it was a synthesizer or an electric guitar playing the line, and that's what I'm talking about, where they make these timbres just work well and mesh well together. There's a lot of work, once again, that goes into the production of this that makes it as effective and efficient at what it does. Um, and I don't think that there is any amount of praise that would be too much for the task that they undertake probably every time they make a new album, if not a new song. So yeah, I did want to put that out there a little bit. The lyrics are basically just really upset at the law. It starts out with a soundbite from, it says Smokey and the Bandit. what we're dealing with here is a total lack of respect for the law. Come to find out, this was written in 1995 as a pushback or a protest song against Part 5, Section 63 through 67 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994, which was in the UK. Prime Minister and Home Secretary in 1994 introduced this into Parliament, and it was an attack on outdoor raves. It's made large outdoor raves. It says it is designed to combat large outdoor raves by making them an act of aggravated trespass. And so they created this song in response to that, which is why they told everybody at the beginning, this is your thing, this is your right, you're allowed to have fun, come out here and show them who you are, that kind of thing. Because they're doing this massive rave in public, assuming, well, this was 2000, so I don't know, it's 2000, right? 2010. So I'm going to assume things might have been repealed by then. I don't know. It's possible that even to this day the act is still in. I probably should have looked into that a little bit more. But yeah, that's the whole point of this. Just real upset with this idea of trying to shut down outdoor raves by making them aggravated trespass. And that's what the song is about. We have one side that says, I'm the law and you can't beat the law, which is going to be the government, and the other one that says, fuck the law. And that's them, doing this act of protest. And in between all of those verses, which are all the same, there's a repetition of the line, crack down at sundown, which most raves are done at night, and that would be when the police start cracking down on this. So yeah. But I think the general gist here is protesting against unjust laws, which is why it was selected and specifically stated by our requester as targeting Florida and what they're doing right now. And I fully support the justification for this choice. All right, that wraps it up for me. What are y'all's thoughts on this one? Put them down in the comments, your perspectives, your opinions, if you enjoyed it or not. Above the comment section in the description box is a link for Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, the Discord server, so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Greatly appreciate all three of those. All right, that wraps it up for today. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to continue on with Outsider music. We're going to check out another special selection as well. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.